All right, ready to dive deep again. This time we're heading to the Aizen region.
Specifically to the Nakhon Phanom province.
You got it. We've got some sources here about Paetongtarn Shinawatra's recent campaign visit there. And
It's January 2025.
oh, yeah, sorry, I should have mentioned that. So it's January 2025.
Paetongtarn is serving as both Prime Minister A&D, the leader of the Pheu Thai Party.
Right.
And this was actually her very first time campaigning for a Provincial Administrative Organization.
A PAO.
Yes, a PAO election, since assuming leadership of the party.
Pretty significant moment in her career, though.
Absolutely.
For those who maybe aren't super familiar with PAOs, what are they exactly?
Well, they're basically local governing bodies in Thailand, responsible for things like infrastructure, development projects.
They're pretty important.
Oh, yeah, definitely. They even handle some social welfare programs.
Stuff that really impacts people's daily lives.
Exactly. Which is why these elections can be surprisingly heated.
Oh, I bet.
Especially in a place like Nakhon Phanom.
What's so special about Nakhon Phanom?
Well, it's historically been a stronghold for the Pheu Thai Party.
Yeah.
But lately, the Pheu Thai Party has been gaining ground there, so it's a real battleground.
So Paetongtarn going there for a PAO election.
It's a pretty big deal.
And she didn't go alone either.
No, not at all. She arrived at the Nakhon Phanom airport with a whole entourage of Pheu Thai heavyweights.
Like who?
Like Deputy Prime Minister Surya Yonggrungkit was there.
Okay.
Nathawat Saikua, a very important figure in the red shirt movement.
Ah, yes, the red shirts. Can you remind us who they are again?
Of course. They're a powerful political movement in Thailand, known for their very strong support of the Shinawatra family.
Paetongtarn's father, Foxen, for example.
Precisely. And they actually played a significant role in bringing both Foxen and his sister, Yingluck, to power.
Wow, so they've been a force in Thai politics for a while now.
For quite a while, yes.
And it sounds like they're still loyal to the family name because the sources describe hundreds of them greeting Paetongtarn at the airport.
Yeah, it was quite a welcome, actually.
Hugs, roses.
They even tied traditional Aizen white cloths around her waist.
Interesting. What else?
There were chants of, "We love Prime Ministering."
It really shows the connection she has with them.
It does. Almost feels like a symbolic passing of the torch from one generation of leadership to the next.
The sources also mention the car she used.
Oh, right.
A black Toyota Alphard.
With the license plate at 888.
Which, if I'm not mistaken, connects to the candidate number of the person she was there to support.
Exactly. The Pheu Thai candidate for PAO chairman Anuchit Hongsadi.
And his candidate number was?
8.
Clever. A subtle way to link them together in the public eye.
Definitely. And speaking of Anuchit, one of Paetongtarn's key messages was his connection to the region.
I see.
She repeatedly said, Anuchit is a true Nakhon Phanom native and has true Pheu Thai DNA.
Local pride and party legacy.
All in one.
A smart strategy.
And she didn't waste any time on this trip.
How so?
She fit in 3 rallies in a single day. Across Nakhon Phanom, hitting different districts, Nakhon, Wing Nakhon Phanom, and Si Songkram.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is. And remember, this is her first time campaigning for a PAO election as party leader.
So maybe she's sending a message.
Possibly. Showing the party she's willing to get her hands dirty, you know?
Yeah, a very hands-on approach.
It seems that way.
Okay, so we know the setting, the players, the schedule.
Right.
But what was Paetongtarn actually saying at these rallies?
Well, her speeches were really interesting, very carefully crafted to connect with the local audience.
How so?
She used very simple, everyday language, even opening with greetings like, hello, how are you all? Have you eaten yet? Do you miss me?
It sounds more like chatting with friends than giving a political speech.
Exactly. But don't be fooled, she still worked in those political messages.
Like what?
Well, she'd often remind people when the Pheu Thai Party comes, those who are poor will definitely become rich.
Appealing to Pheu Thai's populist roots.
Exactly. And reminding them of the benefits they experienced under previous Pheu Thai leadership.
Makes sense.
Especially in a region like Aizen, where poverty rates have been higher than other parts of Thailand.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
So she's tapping into that nostalgia for her father's policies, which were really popular there.
Exactly.
But she's also bringing her own vision to the table, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Especially when it comes to drug policy.
Yes. This is where things get particularly interesting.
How so?
She's taking a totally different approach compared to the more hardline policies we've seen before.
More compassionate, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly. Focusing on rehabilitation, not punishment.
Interesting.
One of the sources actually quotes her as saying, people who have drug problems are not bad people, they may just have problems. We are ready to welcome them back after they have gone through rehabilitation.
Wow. That's a bold statement.
It is. Drug policy is a sensitive issue in Thailand.
Especially in regions affected by the drug trade.
Exactly. Like Nakhon Phanom.
So it's a risky move.
It is. But it could also resonate with voters who have been personally affected by the drug trade, either directly or through their families.
It's a gamble, but it could pay off.
Ah.
So let me get this straight. We've got a prime minister campaigning for a small local election.
Right.
She's tapping into family legacy
Yes.
and promoting a potentially controversial policy shift. What's the bigger picture here? What's the significance of all this?
Well, that's where things get really fascinating.
Okay, so this PAO election in Nakhon Phanom, it's more than just a local thing, right?
Absolutely. It's a crucial test for Paetongtarn.
How so?
Well, it's her chance to show she can turn her national popularity into local support for Pheu Thai.
Especially since they've got tough competition from Pheu Thai there.
Right.
What are the possible outcomes here? What do they mean for both parties?
Okay, so let's say Pheu Thai wins.
Okay,
That could be a huge boost for them before the next general election.
like a real shift in power.
Exactly. It would show they can still get people to vote for them, even in areas where it's a tight race.
But what if they lose?
Well, a loss could give Pheu Thai even more momentum.
Going into that general election,
Exactly.
high stakes for everyone then.
Absolute.
It's like a mini referendum on the future of these two parties.
That's a great way to put it.
And for Paetongtarn, personally, this isn't just about winning.
Yeah.
It's about showing she can lead, that she can get people to support her chosen candidate.
Yeah, winning a general election and becoming prime minister is one thing, but can she translate that popularity into actual wins for her party at the local level? Can she convince voters that Anuchit, who's not that well known, is the right person for the job?
That's a good point.
And then there's the whole issue of her family's legacy.
Oh, right. The Shinawatra name.
It carries a lot of weight.
Both good and bad, I imagine.
Exactly. Some voters remember her father, Thaksin, fondly, for the social welfare programs, especially in Isin.
Yeah.
But then you have those who don't trust the family.
See them as corrupt, maybe.
Right, exactly.
So Paetongtarn has to balance all of that.
It's a tough position to be in. She needs to appeal to those who loved her father's policies, while also reassuring the skeptical voters that she is her own person, a leader with her own vision.
And part of that vision seems to be this new approach to drug policy.
Yes. It's a big change from what we've seen before.
Instead of just punishing drug users, she's talking about compassion, about helping them get back on their feet.
She's acknowledging that the drug problem is serious, especially in places like Nakhon Phanom, but she's saying we need to support people, give them a second chance.
Which is risky, right?
Definitely. Some people will want a tougher approach.
But maybe it'll attract voters who are tired of the old ways.
Who want something more humane, more effective.
So we'll have to see how it plays out.
Exactly. But what's clear is that Paetongtarn is willing to take risks, to shake things up.
Not just following the party line, but actually trying to change it.
Exactly. She's saying, this is who I am, this is what I believe, and this is where I want to take the country.
That's a powerful message.
It is. And this PAO election is a big part of that.
Okay, so for our listener, someone who's really into Thai politics,
Right.
what are the big takeaways here? What does this tell us about Thai politics in 2025?
Well, I think we're seeing a new generation of leaders coming up.
Stepping out of the shadows of the past.
Exactly. Figuring out their own way.
Like Paetongtarn trying to make her own name, not just rely on her family.
Absolutely. And we're also seeing this constant struggle between the big parties like Pheu Thai and Pheu Thai.
Yeah, these local elections, they're really important.
They are. It's like each one is a small battle in a bigger war for the control of Thailand.
A real game of strategy.
And then there's the change in how people are talking about things like drug policy.
Moving away from just punishment.
Exactly. Paetongtarn is pushing for something different.
Maybe it'll catch on.
It could. So you see, what might look like just a local election actually tells us a lot about the bigger picture in Thai politics.
Yeah, it's like a puzzle.
It is. And this deep dive has given us a lot to think about, especially about what might happen in this PAO election.
And how that could affect things nationally, the strategies of Pheu Thai and Pheu Thai.
And ultimately how it could impact the lives of everyday people.
Exactly. But there's one more thing we need to talk about.
Oh, right.
The red shirts.
Such a powerful force in Thai politics.
They love the Shinawatras, and they clearly love Paetongtarn.
But will they support Anuchit?
He's not a Shinawatra.
That's the question. Will they be out there campaigning for him the way they did for Thaksin and Yingluck?
It's a big ask.
It really is. And if they don't show up, it could be a problem for Pheu Thai.
Not just in Nakhon Phanom,
but everywhere.
So this PAO election is even more interesting now.
It is.
Will Paetongtarn's gamble pay off? Will the red shirts support her candidate?
We'll have to wait and see.
Okay, so we've got Paetongtarn. She's trying to establish herself, as a leader.
Right.
We've got two big parties, Pheu Thai and Pheu Thai. They're fighting for control.
Yep.
We've got this new approach to drug policy, which is controversial.
Very much so.
And then on top of all that, we've got the red shirts, and we don't know what they'll do.
It's a really interesting mix.
So many factors at play.
Absolutely.
Will Paetongtarn be able to connect with voters in Nakhon Phanom?
That's a big question.
Will her focus on things like drug policy be enough, to win against the other party?
It's hard to say. They're strong in that region.
And what about the red shirts? Will they actually come out and support Anuchit?
That's the key thing, right? I mean, they've been so loyal to the Shinawatras.
Years.
But Anuchit, he's not a Shinawatra.
Right.
Can Paetongtarn convince them to support him?
That's a huge test.
It is, for her leadership and for the future of the party.
Imagine if they win.
Especially with a candidate who's not a Shinawatra.
That would be a big deal.
Huge. It would show that Paetongtarn has built her own base of support, not just relying on her family name.
That she's a real political force.
Exactly. But what if they lose?
What would that tell us?
Well, it could mean that the red shirts are losing their loyalty to the Shinawatras.
That their support isn't automatic anymore.
Right. It could also mean that Pheu Thai is becoming more and more powerful in Aizen.
That Pheu Thai might not be the dominant party there for much longer.
It's a possibility.
So this PAO election,
it could have a ripple effect.
Nationwide.
Changing the balance of power, influencing what the parties do in the future.
It's amazing how much we can learn from just one local election. We started with Paetongtarn's campaign.
And now we're talking about the whole future of Thai politics.
The changing roles of different parties, the red shirts.
It's like a microcosm of everything that's happening in Thailand.
It really shows how important these local elections are.
They're not just local.
They have national implications.
Absolutely. And for our listeners, someone who's following all of this closely.
What are the big questions?
Well, will Paetongtarn be successful? Can she lead Pheu Thai into a new era?
Or will things stay the same?
Will the old political dynamics continue?
It's hard to say for sure.
Thai politics is unpredictable.
But that's what makes it so interesting, right?
Exactly. You never know what's going to happen next. So, to our listeners,
keep paying attention.
This story isn't over yet.
There's more to come.
And who knows what the next chapter will bring.
That's right. For now, keep exploring.
Keep asking questions.
And keep diving deep into the things that you're curious about.
You never know what you might discover.
Exactly. Until next time, happy exploring.